Hi guys, and welcome to my review of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So this movie opens up during the 1980s, where we basically get a little bit of an insight into the end of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria being open. We see a bit of the insight into the tragedy that led to the closure of that, and how Matthew Lillard's character was involved in that. It's essentially also used to set up the main antagonist of this movie. We then jump to 1 year later, where basically Mike has been keeping the fate of Abby's animatronic friend secret from her. We have Abby, who's essentially mourning and missing her animatronic friends. So this leads to her sneaking out back to the pizzeria to be reunited with them, and who knew that ended up being a really bad idea, because it just sets this chain of events in motion. Where basically we have our new antagonist, who is the spirit of one of the children that dies during the tragedy that leads to the shutdown of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, and this essentially leads to her trying to wreak her revenge on the parents here. She blames them for the tragedy. I was saying in my review of the first Five Nights at Freddy's, it felt like that movie was really kind of non-committal in terms of what it was wanted to be. This seemed like a concept to me personally that I always felt like it would benefit from just leaning into that really schlocky fun of it. But it never really fully committed to that. But it never really fully committed to being this really creepy horror movie neither. It didn't seem to be fully commit to one or the other. This movie definitely moves a needle in that. This movie does commit to being more of a straight up creepy horror movie. We get a lot more creepy visuals here. We have some new animatronic characters here, in particular the marionette, who is just is kind of like an addition to those creepy visuals. We have a darker tone here, not necessarily thematically, but just kind of visually and aesthetically. The movie just seems to look a little bit darker than that first film. So I will say that we do get more. The movie does kind of maybe commit to it being a horror movie a bit more than that first film does. Does that add to a better experience? For me personally, no, it didn't. I felt like that this movie was really unfocused um, in terms of just how it all kind of like plays out, because we basically just have these little series of subplots, and none of them seem to be promoted to the main plot. Like I said, we have this plot where essentially the spirit of this child that ends up dying in the tragedy of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria at the beginning. She's basically kind of back to wreak her revenge on the parents that she blames for all of this tragedy. We have obviously Abby missing missing her animatronic friends from the first movie. We have we have this little will they won't they romance between Mike and Elizabeth's character. We have this little scene with this like spooky investigators kind of thing, and we none of them really. Yeah, we also have this other little subplot with Abby in her robotics class and her teacher being kind of a bit of an asshole. Uh, and none of these all just seem to be, they all just end up seeming to be filler, and none of them really, they're just things that don't really necessarily provide this driving force. They're all just there for the purpose of our characters just kind of festering and doing stuff, and it just and yeah, it just seems to be really really unfocused. It's none of these plot points seem to be going anywhere or serving any overall arc. We have this. Some may find this notable, at least in terms of the marketing, where we have Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich reunited from the Scream films, and collectively, if you put their scenes together, they never appear on screen together. They only have their own like separate scenes, and if you combine those scenes, it adds to about 5 minutes of runtime. I mean, on a positive note, I will say that the one scene or a little bit of Matthew Lillard's character that we get here, I think he does a really good job. I think that especially seeing as we're so used to seeing Matthew Lillard play quite likable characters. Even in Scream, where he essentially plays one of the killers. Obviously, he gets this big fan base. So we have quite a lot of Stu fans out there, as we know. So seeing him play this really evil and unlikable character, I think he does that really well here. So I will give credits to this movie, at least for that. And but yeah, ultimately, yeah, this movie just didn't really do it for me. And I don't know, maybe this is just maybe I'm being too harsh on this. Maybe I think that there's maybe a counterpoint there that people can make here, that these movies should be considered more of a kind of like a gateway horror type thing, where it's sort of like these are horror movies are essentially aimed at teenagers who may not necessarily be really well versed in horror. So these are the types of films that you could kind of knock out just to kind of like allow them to dab their toe in. There is that counter argument, but on that note, I just feel like that there are movies out there that are just much better suited to doing that. I think that there's movies like The Lost Boys and Fright Night and all of, and all that are just kind of like better to do that. And and yeah, ultimately, I these films were written by the creator of the Five Nights at Freddy's films, the Five Nights at Freddy's games, sorry. So I guess there's a lot of little fan servicey moments for those games. And that's fine. And for those who are like really big fans of the games, who maybe pick up on all of these Easter eggy moments in the films that we're not picking up on, then that's great. You know, more power to you. I'm kind of like envious of you there. Um, but um, but yeah, for the rest of us who are out in the red, um, which I'm gonna kind of like take a guess makes up a majority of the cinema goers here, but would potentially see this movie. Um, yeah, it just feels alienating because yeah, there isn't really a balance there. But yeah, so yeah, overall, guys, yeah, I was disappointed by this movie, and it ended up kind of you know killing off kind of any sort of interest or investment that I would have for this franchise going forward. But but yeah, that pretty much sums it up. So yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed this video, you want to see more, don't forget to ring that bell for notifications. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Feel free to let me know down in the comment section about what your thoughts on this movie were. Did you like this movie? Did you hate this movie? Are you fans of the video games? Have you had any experience with the video games? You know, all that fun stuff. Let me know down in the comment section. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, I will see you guys on the next video. You guys take care.